All right. Hello and welcome to Zack and Mac, episode 3. The reason I kind of flinched there is because my screen all of a sudden went dark. But I don't think it went over here. As you can see, we got our timestamp down. I think right here is where it's going to be. I can't see it now, but I put it in the recording thing. So I'm excited about it. Zach Smolin, Matt McClure. Matt, how you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Episode 3 of this podcast. If you missed the first 2 episodes, make sure to check them out. We're on YouTube and Spotify. Appreciate the love we've gotten over the first 2 weeks, man. We're just having fun with it, and let's get back to it here today, Zach.
Yeah, let's get started. A very football-heavy day. Baseball's done. Basketball's coming up. We'll talk about basketball a little later. Hockey, we have no idea when that's going to be starting. So it's going to be all NFL today for the most part. And, Matt, we got to start off with – and it's so funny because I'm not a Jets fan, but it's for whatever reason 0-8 teams, like either really good or really bad teams, get into the spotlight. And the Jets have captured, well, frankly, the national spotlight, so we got to talk about them. Jets are 0-8. Joe Douglas went on like kind of a little bit of a media tour yesterday. It went on the Michael K show on 98.7 ESPN. I talked to NJ.com. I know CBS Sports had a little piece on him. Joe Douglas, obviously the general manager of these New York Jets, and came on a lot of different places and appeared to not only give his head coach Adam Gase a vote of confidence, but double and triple down on their 0-8 coach as the guy. I'm going to read a couple quotes to you real quick, Matt. This is from the NJ.com story. This is not all on Adam. Again, I have to do a better job of surrounding him with better players and better weapons, Douglas said. We're in this together. I'm going through and thinking of everything I can do to try and help Adam, and the goal is to get this fixed together. Then later on, he said, my focus is helping Adam solve the problem and work to do it. And so obviously, I think we're all confident in our abilities, but I'm focused to solve these problems with Adam. So he said Adam's name 4 times.
4 or 5 times.
Yeah, in those 4 sentences. Those questions were – and then on the Michael K show, he's asked, I think, 3 different times, like, what are you seeing in Adam Gase that we're not seeing? And then he would just go back and say, well, I've kind of got to look in the mirror. I'm not really surrounding him with a decent amount of talent. But, Matt, when does it become okay in that case to blame the head coach? You're 7-17 since you hired him, 0-8 in the start of this season. They got off to a dreadful start last season. Then they beat up on a bunch of really bad teams because they had a great defense last year down the stretch. So yeah, what do you even do? Like, when is it okay to blame the head coach? I think you do it right now. Your team's 0-8.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think you blame him now. Are you kidding me? You're 7. He said it. You're 7-17 with the Jets, and you haven't even really been competitive all season long this year. You're 0-8, and the only game that you really had an opportunity, I'm not even going to say a chance, maybe an opportunity to win, is against the Buffalo Bills, and they didn't even score a touchdown on you, and you still lost the game. Adam Gase is not a good football coach, and the fact that Joe Douglas is just having his back is kind of mind-boggling to me. He is looking himself in the mirror, though, and saying, I need to get this guy better players and better weapons. I believe that's true because it's not all on Adam Gase, but I'd probably say 80 to 85% is on Adam Gase because he doesn't motivate players. And Sam Darnold, Zach, is, I think, the biggest thing with this. All we heard about is Adam Gase is this great quarterback whisperer, and Sam Darnold looks like he's going to get worse every game he plays. Every game. I mean,
I think so too.
Has he played one good game this year, Zach?
No, he hasn't.
You think he's been like, oh, okay, we can take the next step forward with this guy. He could be a franchise quarterback for us moving forward. From what I've seen through 6 games of Sam Darnold this year, because he got hurt and Joe Flacco played in 2, I haven't seen anything that says, hey, this guy can be our starting quarterback for the future. I don't see it, Zach. I really
this year, definitely not. His rookie season, you can give, I'm pulling it up right now. The game against Denver, he threw 3 touchdowns. He went 341 yards and 3 touchdowns against Green Bay in a loss. That was his rookie season. But yeah, he seems to almost get worse. Matt, I'm going to quickly read you the lines this season and I've seen all these games, and none of them say standout franchise quarterback. First and foremost, he hasn't completed more than 65% of his passes in any game, which doesn't seem that bad, except that he's been under 63 times. So in his first game, 60% completion, 215 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. A touchdown, no picks, 179 yards the next week against San Francisco in that blowout. Then they face Indianapolis, a touchdown, 3 picks. Then they play Denver, 230 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. So at least no turnovers that time. Against Buffalo the last 2 weeks ago, 2 picks, no touchdowns, Matt, 120 yards, and then 133 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions in the most recent game against Kansas City. I mean, he's got 3 touchdown passes this season? He has 3 touchdown passes this season
and 6
interceptions. And he's been under 150 yards. That's not even a watermark. Like 230 yards is a good game, I would say, right? He hasn't gotten like half of that in the past 2 games.
It's incredible.
He's terrible.
It really is incredible.
Or he's been terrible. I think he's talented, but he's been real bad.
I mean, the last 2 games, Zach, it's been a dumpster fire. 120 yards against the Bills, 2 picks, and you get 4 yards on offense in the second half against the Bills.
4 yards.
4 yards. Yeah. And then this week against the Chiefs.
I could probably get 4 yards calling plays.
I think so. I think so. You could probably scramble out of the pocket and maybe get 4 yards.
Or just
maybe not. Just a
bunch of HB dives on Matt.
Yeah, HB. Fullback dive. Fullback dive. Fullback dive for a yard. I mean, that's what it was. It's just an absolute joke that this guy hasn't taken the next step forward, and I think you got to blame the coach for that in some regard.
I think so too, because we've seen teams with kind of lackluster talent gets some stuff done. I mean, look at Denver. They have 3 wins. Drew Lock's their quarterback. They're missing Melvin Gordon. They got Lindsey back, but Cortland Sutton's out for the year. That's their top receiver target. Now they got Judy, who's a rookie, and he's really, really good. But again, that team's offense was in shambles. Let's take an example when they beat the Jets. They had Brett Rippon out there, and they scored, 34 points, something like that? So you can run into a good game. The Jets can't run into a good game, Matt. I mean, I'm looking through. The most points they scored was 28. That was in that Denver game. They haven't scored more than 17. 11.8 points per game on the season.
You're not winning anything scoring 11.8 points a game.
No, not in today's NFL, especially when they're giving up 29.8 points per game. How can you not blame Adam Gase? He's supposed to be the brilliant offensive mastermind. 11.8 points per game, Matt. You can double that total and still not have a top 10 offense in the NFL.
Yeah, this is just the Adam Gase experiment. I don't even know if it's an experiment at this point, because when you hear Joe Douglas talk, he loves the guy. Yeah. And for some reason, it makes no sense. They think this guy's going to be the head coach of this team for the future. I don't know how bad do the Jets need to be until they fire this guy?
You got to be 0-18 in a 16-game season, and I don't know how you'd even pull that off. I mean, if any team were to do it, it would be the Jets. But, yeah, it seems like – because then they talked about – also, if I'm remembering correctly from the K Show in that interview, they're saying that – even if he is 0-8, if they go 0-16, is that it for him? And they're like, well, I'm not really sure. It was more like he was teaching a tap dancing class, Matt, than doing an interview, the way that he was going around all these questions that they were asking. And I get it. If you're in Joe Douglas's position, obviously you're not going to berate the coach on air to a reporter or anything, but at least shed some accountability. That he didn't push any accountability on Adam Gase for the poor start that they've had this season, for the poor first half of the season that they've had this season. Again, like you mentioned, no progress on the offense, major regressions on the defense, and every time they have a talented player, they want out. Lev Bell released. Jamal Adams, they had to trade him. Avery Williamson, did you see what he did? The picture that he posted?
Yeah.
He's in full Jets uniform. He couldn't wait to get out of Florham Park. He couldn't wait to get out of there. You know why, Matt? Because it's a total disaster. They have no idea what it takes to play any sort of winning football. For whatever reason, they think it's better to show loyalty to a really, really bad coach than to fire him mid-season and at least put some sort of winning culture in there. And they show no signs of getting any better. It's either indecision or really, really bad decisions, doubling down on bad decisions. And that's what hurts this team.
Yeah, they're not a good football team at all. And Adam Gase deserves, like you said, Zach, some accountability because last year when you thought maybe they could make the wild card, they were sitting there around 500 at one point. They come off a dominant win against the Raiders at home.
Right.
Remember this?
Oh,
They beat the Raiders
I was
at
at
home.
that game.
They
I was there.
beat up the Raiders, right?
Uh-huh.
And after that game, you thought, wait a second, we might have a chance. And it just goes like this all the way down, like a sinking ship, man.
Yep.
And it's just he needs to take accountability. He's lost the team. He's lost. He looks like he's lost Darnold, too.
Yeah.
And it's just sad to see because, like you also said, Zach, about Darnold, he's got some talent. He's got some talent. He shows you some flashes with his legs. Why don't they have more plays for him maybe moving around and, running plays for him? Because he has shown this season that he can run the ball. He had that awesome run against the Broncos for a touchdown. And he's shown that he has some nice, he has some nice runs. And now, they don't do that at all. And P. Ryan has shown you a little bit with his run game. He had a touchdown in that Bills game.
Yeah.
But other than that, and they got Denzel Mims back, or he didn't even play a game until the Bills game.
Yeah.
So you might have a little bit of young talent, I guess, on offense with maybe 2 players. But this team is so incredibly bad. And if they get the number 1 overall pick, they're probably going to pick Trevor Lawrence. And is that fair to Sam Darnold? Probably not, because in his first 3 years, he really didn't have a great opportunity. In his second year, Zach, I'm looking at the stats here. He threw for over 3,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 13 picks. That's not a bad season last year.
Right.
But the team is really going nowhere, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were saying, okay, we're going to go in a different direction at quarterback, and let's bring in Trevor Lawrence if he's there at number 1, if he goes out in the NFL draft, because he said stuff about, hey, I might stay at Clemson another year. How disastrous would that be?
It would be Peyton Manning all over again. I don't think he's going to do it, though. He really has nothing left to prove there in Clemson.
I agree with that.
He's ready to go. He's ready to go to the NFL. I don't think that he'll pull that. If I had to give a roadmap for what the Jets need to do to get back on track, and it's not really that difficult, you got to start immediately with thinking about, replacing the head coach. It's clearly not working out. Again, I don't like calling for people's jobs, but it's
that's got to be the number 1 priority.
Right. First and foremost, you got to get something. You have to get a whole new coaching staff in there because this unit isn't working at all. Second, you got to trade. I think it's time to trade Sam Darnold. I think he's really, really good, but the issue is his timeline isn't going to really line up with when the Jets are going to be good. What are you going to give him a really big contract? Because they're going to
trade value though. That's the only question.
You could probably get a 2 for him. Now you'd want a 1. I'd say that a team would probably give a 2, at worst a 3 for him. But I think you could get a 2 for Sam Darnold right now. And that was going to be my next point: is you got to make sure you have a good coaching staff. What you do is you ship Darnold off, get maybe a 2. Now you have 2 2s in next year's draft. You already have 2 3s and 2 1s. So now you have 6 picks in the top, in the top 3 rounds. And I think I trust Douglas to make some good picks there because Mekhi Becton looks really good. Denzel Mims, we don't really know what he's going to be yet.
He's shown you some things.
But he looks like he can be pretty good. And then you have the opportunity to get yourself a Lawrence and maybe get, double up on Clemson. Maybe get Etienne in there as well.
That'd be pretty cool.
At the end of the first round, get those 2 guys in there.
I like that.
Yeah, mix it in. Maybe get another offensive lineman in the mix. They're going to have some cap space as well. They got rid of everybody. So, I really think that this team has a really good chance to turn things around fairly quickly, but they have to be decisive and make smart moves. They can't be like, oh, well, we like Gase. Well, he's not producing on the field. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm sure the Maras and, the Tishes, they loved Tom Coughlin, but it was time for him to go. He wasn't getting the job done anymore. Now, granted, nobody since him has gotten the job done for the Giants, but that's all. That's it's also,
Nice catch.
thank you. I'm catching more balls than Chris Herndon and Evan Ingram, but sorry. But yeah, I think that the Jets, again, it goes back to head coaching, and you got to move on from Darnold because you can restart with a new generationally talented quarterback. His cap hit's not going to hold you back as much. You can spend a little more in that free agency instead of having Darnold's contract. Will we or won't we re-sign him hanging over your head? I think it's the best thing to do. I don't think it's fair to Sam, but I think it's the right move for both those teams to kind of move on, have a clean break, and then the Jets can try again with somebody else because this isn't working.
No, I totally agree. I think it starts from the coach. You got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of him.
Yeah.
He has just not produced anything at all. He's got to go. I don't know what else you got to say about it. He's got to go. Like you said, it's not fair to Sam Darnold, but he's probably likely on the move somewhere. And I think it's going to be really cool if they could land a Trevor Lawrence and then later back half of that first round or early second round, if they would draft an Etienne, have a Clemson 1-2 punch. I really like that, Zach, and see what you can work with offensively and start competing in this division. Just start competing in
Tom Brady's
games.
gone and they're 0-8.
Yeah.
The Jets fans' dream came true.
That's on Monday night too, man.
They're gonna lose that game to the 2-5 Patriots too. I can't believe it.
Oh man, they got it. They that's what they got to do though, Zach. I think they got to get rid of Gase, and they got to start making some smarter decisions. If you're gonna bring somebody in with some talent, make sure you're gonna keep them.
Right. Well, they have a history of not doing that.
Because they don't do that.
No.
With the guys you mentioned, Avery Williamson, who they just recently got rid of, is excited because guess what? He's going to a Super Bowl contender in Pittsburgh. Said, see ya, New York. I'm going to Pittsburgh on a winning culture with a great coach in Tomlin, a stud defense. See ya.
Well, I'm thinking of guys in the past. They always get rid of guys that are homegrown guys. Yeah, Snacks Harrison, gone, went to the Giants. Just recent examples. Jamal Adams, they drafted him 6th overall a couple years ago.
That was your best player.
Yeah, shipped him right out. Avery Williamson, he's a guy. Shipped him out. Yeah. Sheldon Richardson, shipped him out. All these really they had a lot of talented guys. They haven't had disastrous drafts every single year. Now they've had a few. Thinking of the one with Idzik, where I think all of them are out of the NFL, or most of them are. But when they hit, it doesn't mean anything. And right now they're in the middle of mishandling 2 more homegrown guys. They kept sending Becton out a couple weeks ago when his shoulder was clearly hurt. I mean, he's better now. He's back in and playing, but that was scary. And the same thing with Darnold. They started kind of screwing around with his health as well. So they got to really take a deep – I hope Douglas actually does take a look in the mirror because some of it's on him as well.
I think it's been here for a year. Bits on him.
Right, but the whole organization's got to look and be like, hey, this isn't working.
It ain't working, man.
Yeah, I know hitting the reset button sucks. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to do it for the second, third time in a row, but you got to keep doing it until you get it right.
Yep.
And I think that's what is next for this team. We're going to see a complete overhaul if they're smart. If they're not smart, which, again, history would indicate, they're going to hang on to Gase. They're going to hang on to Darnold. They're going to trade him when his value drops too much or just let him walk in free agency. They're going to have a slightly worse pick and let Lawrence go somewhere else because they were too high on Gase and Darnold's marriage, their ability to work together, and that's all going to fall through. So, I don't know, Matt. I mean, the Jets – they make their fans miserable, and I feel really bad because they have one of the most passionate fan bases you'll ever see. And I know people say that about every team. And granted, I haven't been in a lot of different NFL stadiums, but my grandfather has Jets season tickets, and obviously couldn't go anywhere this year. But the past couple of years, he started taking me to a lot of games, and they've been really bad. And just all the green and white that you see out there in the stands, and they come out in full force. Well, except that Raiders game. That was all Raiders fans last year.
Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was crazy. But you saw them all start to leave. But they have a really passionate fan base. They really care about this team, and I think that they deserve a lot better than what they're getting. So the Jets certainly aren't doing enough to get better. Let's talk about something else in football that's not doing enough. That just the whole NFL in general. Matt, I'm getting a little concerned about this season for the NFL. It seems like every week we're hearing so-and-so's got COVID on this team. So-and-so's got COVID on wherever.
Yep.
Big players got one. Matthew Stafford has been placed on the COVID-19 reserve list for the Lions. I believe it was Kendrick Bourne on the 49ers wide receiver. He's got a positive test. They got to shut down the 49ers facility. Matt, this is really bad. Well, first and foremost for player health and safety. Like, you don't want anybody getting COVID just for the sake of your players' own health. And
Absolutely.
then you also don't want players getting COVID because they could spread it to other players. They could spread it to older coaches. Third, you got to start thinking about moving or canceling games. We're halfway through the season, Matt. We can't do a lot of shuffling like that going down the stretch where a lot of these games are really going to matter. And then the playoffs. So I'm thinking it's time to bubble up. Maybe right after Thanksgiving, right before Thanksgiving. I don't know what your thoughts on that. Some people might think it's too drastic. I don't see any other way to be absolutely sure, as close to sure as possible, that the rest of the season goes according to plan and that you're able to go ahead and have an uninterrupted postseason, except to maybe bubble these teams up.
Yeah, well, you saw how the NBA worked with their bubble, and it was a really big success how that all worked. But through the first, 3 weeks of the season this year, you didn't really hear anything in the NFL COVID-wise.
Right.
Everybody was coming back negative, which was really good, and it happened when the Titans really got COVID. That was a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
And
then
since
Cam got it too.
Yeah, since that happened, things haven't gone well. And the NFL, what they were doing with the coaches, they'd see pictures or something on the sideline, and if the coaches weren't wearing masks, they were fining them $100K. So they were trying to do some things to stop it. Try to not stop it, because you're not going to stop COVID at this moment in time.
Right, but at least mitigate it.
Mitigate, prevent it. But you knew the risks coming in as well. I mean, the risks were, hey, you're trying to play a football season here in the NFL, and COVID's a pandemic. This is going to happen. How are you going to respond? What are the necessary things you're going to do to maybe, help player safety? And maybe, like you said, Zach, maybe one of those things is going to a bubble and bubbling the teams for the second half of the season. I personally don't know how that'll all work, but it could happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Now, does the NFL have a plan in place where they could do that? Again, I'm not sure, but I think they need to be focusing on player safety for sure, because you mentioned Kendrick Bourne tested positive. He's a member of the 49ers. They shut down that facility. They're supposed to play the Packers tomorrow night. How's that going to work out?
And that's a huge game right now. I mean, the 49ers, because of their injuries, probably won't be making, a run at the division, but they could certainly make a run at a wild card spot. I mean, I think
Sure.
I think everybody in the NFC West will finish with a winning record. And then the Packers are looking for a 1 seed. They're trying to hang on to the top spot in the North. They have a pretty competitive division as well. So you can't have this kind of stuff happening week in and week out. And I'm not talking about maybe the same kind of bubble the NBA have, because you can't pull that off in the NFL. There's too many people. But how about maybe putting the players up in a hotel like you do in training camp? Because I remember hearing Chris Canty talk about this a couple of weeks ago. Like that's what they do in training camp. You stay at the hotel. You wake up at 7. You get to the field. You don't leave until like 6. And then you got to go to bed early because you got to go back and practice the next day.
Yep.
And your travel's pretty, restricted. You're going to be there the whole time. And I don't, some players might not like it, but I think that they would like not playing and not getting paid for games even worse.
Exactly.
Than, and getting COVID even worse than doing that. So I think it's more important for them to do that. Now, you talked about the NFL having a contingency plan. I don't think they do. What they've been focusing on right now with the competition committee is adding a playoff team. I don't think it's time to be talking about adding a playoff team. You got to be focused on player safety.
Oh, I agree with that completely. 100%. Don't worry about adding a playoff team. How about we start thinking about player safety, as you just mentioned? How about
Right.
we worry about trying to help these players stay safe out there? I mean, really, and stay safe from COVID and doing the necessary precautions that need to happen. So let's worry about that more than a adding a playoff team, please, please.
Yeah. I mean, I get where they're coming from. They want to add the game so that they can make some of the money back from the media deals,
Absolutely,
but you can't do that if, 50% of the teams are sick or out with COVID, especially with it spiking all over the place. It's
absolutely,
so I don't think the NFL's doing enough. They're proving again to be the most irresponsible of all the leagues when it comes to stuff like this. Even Major League Baseball, they bubbled up before the playoffs. Playoff
yeah,
teams, they started having the players inside doing this and that. It's time to do that in the NFL, especially with cases surging everywhere. Especially with the weight of the types of games coming up. I really don't, and they have the money to do it, Matt. They print money over there at the NFL. Even with losing some sort of gate revenue, the amount of money in their TV contracts and merchandising and all that is unbelievable. So it's the biggest sport in the country. So I'm really disappointed in the National Football League. Again, they're kind of moving in and out with this, and I know probably the players will have to prove something like that at the same time, but they got to have their own safety in mind with that. So I don't know. You have anything more on on the irresponsibility of the National Football League, or we'll talk about that. So we can talk about that so the cows go home. Really.
exactly. Yeah, no, I stated what my point basically pretty much. Let's focus a little bit more on player safety. Let's not focus on adding a playoff team. With COVID spiking, like you said, all around, you just want to make sure these guys are safe and
And their
it'll be
families too.
yeah. These guys are safe. Their families are safe. Let's see how this all works out and plays out, and hopefully the NFL can have a plan in place where they can limit some of this stuff.
Yeah, they certainly could cut it down. I get it. It's hard to control, 100 players and staff altogether, but they kind of do it in training camp already, and I think that you could pull it off. At the very least, it would lower the risk. Anyway,
Absolutely.
so I know that was a little more somber. We're going to move on to something a little more fun. So instead of hot or not this week, Matt had the brilliant idea of playing a Would You Rather game. It was inspired by the third one on this list. This is going to be fun. We try to come up with some tough NFL scenarios. Would you rather this or that? They can either both be equally bad or both be equally good. We thought it'd be fun to have some sort of, maybe some silly justifications, maybe some a little bit more well thought out. So Matt, how about you kick off the segment here with Would You Rather? We'll do hot or not. We'll do hot or not again, but I'm excited for this one.
Yeah. Would you rather? This is a segment here. Me and Zach, obviously, you explained it. Would you rather, Zach? Here we go.
Okay.
Have Adam Gase as your coach for 10 years or the Johnsons own your team for a decade? This is a tough one.
This is a tough one because
I'll give you my answer. But
well, what would you do? Wait,
I think,
no. I don't want to be influenced. Never mind.
okay.
So let's see. For the majority of my lifetime, the Johnsons have owned the Jets. I've seen them make the playoffs three times. Or they had three really good playoff runs. 2002 with Chad Pennington, and then the back-to-back AFC Championship games with Mark Sanchez. And that was with the Johnsons. They made some smart decisions in that time. I always loved Chad Pennington. Him and Eli were my favorites growing up. And then, even though Sanchez wasn't the best quarterback, Rex Ryan was a heck of a coach. They had a great defense. They made a lot of personnel decisions. Honestly, Matt, I think having the Johnsons own my team for a decade is probably the better choice. You can't trust Gase. I don't want anybody with even the potential of having an 0-8 start running my team. I'll pick anybody else. Literally almost anybody else except that. He's been a head coach now, I think 5 years. This will be it. The Jets are not going to make the playoffs, so he's only made the playoffs once, and he hasn't made it any of the last 4 years. He's unimaginative on offense. I mean, again, we talked about that in the beginning. While the Johnsons are maybe not the best owners in terms of decision-making, I don't really like their structure where they have their GM and their head coach have equal weight when it comes to when it comes to bringing things up. Like, it's not like the GM is the boss of the coach. They kind of have them equal. I don't agree with that, but I'd much rather have that than just see a dreadful product on the field. So I'd have to go with the Johnsons owning my team for a decade. What would you say, Matt?
I'm going to go against you here. I think
Really?
yeah, because the Johnsons are a disgrace, and now both of them are bad. But I
Yeah,
think
Woody and Chris. Yeah.
I'd rather have Adam Gase coach my team for 10 years than have these guys own the team for the next decade.
Right.
You got to be kidding me. Adam Gase is bad. We all understand that.
But who hired Adam Gase?
But who hired Adam Gase? There it is, Zach. That's why I'm going Adam Gase next 10
Well, they
years.
also hired Rex Ryan.
I wouldn't like it.
Right.
But that would be what I would do in that situation.
I can't even imagine the Ravens really having a bad season ever. So even if you guys had something like that, I think you would survive. All right, so I got one for you. And this one I thought was a lot of fun. Now, they're not like rated super high this year, but the personnel is unbelievable for the Indianapolis Colts offensive line. It's so funny because it's a far cry from what Luck ever had. And if Luck had this offensive line, I think he'd still be playing. But this line is –
they might have won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think so. Quinn and Nelson and those guys, they're fantastic. So they're really great, and there's another dominant unit this year in the Steelers defense who I know haunt your dreams at night. So what would you rather have, the Indianapolis Colts offensive line, Matt, or the Steelers dominant defense?
This was a tough one for me, but I'm going to go Colts offensive line.
Yeah.
Few reasons why. In 2019, this unit played – or all 5 starters – played 16 games every game in last year. Didn't miss a game. All 5 came back here in 2020. I think Costanzo got hurt against the Bears earlier this year, which broke that streak of they all played consecutive games. And Quinn and Nelson is an absolute beast. I mean, he's one of the best guards in football. When Marshall Yanda for the Ravens retired, he probably took that number 1 spot, in my opinion. This guy's tough nose, and he's a great guard. They have a lot of depth at position, so if somebody would get hurt, they have guys that could come in and step up. Now, they've done a pretty good job protecting Phillip Rivers this year, and you're seeing what Jonathan Taylor's looking like running the ball. He's looked really good in his rookie season out of Wisconsin. He looks really good, and somebody that you're going to rely on moving forward as we play the back half of the season here, as they are looking to take leap there in the AFC South. So I think the Colts offensive line is dominant, and I'm picking them over the Steelers because, Zach, did you watch the game last week between the Ravens and Steelers?
I didn't get it up here. It wasn't in my locale.
I will say this. I
think I got stuck with the Jet game.
Yeah. As a Ravens fan, Zach, watching that game, I know the Ravens lost the game, but I'm not sitting here and saying, wow, that Steelers defense. You kidding me? Did you the run defense? All we heard last week
was the run defense.
About how great this front 7 was. TJ Watt,
Bud Dupree,
Hayward, Dupree. Now, they made plays. I'll give you that. I'll give the people that. They got a turnover. They got a pick 6 Spillane. They got another turnover early in the third quarter with an interception. Bud Dupree came up big, got a sack fumble, or I think just a fumble when the Ravens were going in to score. But the run defense wasn't there. The Ravens lost 2 offensive linemen in that game.
Yeah.
They lost Ronnie Stanley for the year, who just signed a 5-year over $100 million.
That seems to always happen with offensive linemen, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate. He broke his ankle.
Yeah.
Then they also got hurt. Tyree Phillips got hurt in that game. So they had to move their right tackle, Orlando Brown, to left tackle.
Right.
Okay. And they had to bring Pat McCarry, their backup center, in at right guard. And they still dominated the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins had 112 rushing yards. Gus the Bus Edwards came up big. Okay. And Lamar Jackson did his thing on the ground. So I don't want to hear about how great this – and now it's a good defense. and they're probably one of the best top 3 in the league. But
Yeah.
they got dominated up front. They made plays, just like a 1 or 2 plays in that game. That's why they won that game. No other reason why. Their offense was non-existent for the first half. And the Ravens should have been up 24-3 after 2. But since the turnovers hurt them, and Lamar, you got to be better, bro. You got to be better than those 4 turnovers. That's why they lost the game. I'm not sitting here and saying the Steelers' defense is bad. But when you get shredded on the run game, and all we've heard about is how great your front 4 is, how good your linebackers are,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. You gave up 260, 70 yards on the ground. You got dominated by your rival in the trenches. You just made a few plays. Congratulations. We'll see you on Thanksgiving. That's my point there.
Yeah, you're right, Matt. They really the defense laid an egg. The offense bailed them out. Of course, a couple of turnovers. Lamar Jackson with some fumbles in that game, I believe. It was a tough go for the Ravens. Yeah, but yeah, the Steelers dropped out of the top 3 defense. Actually, they were top 2. Now they're number 5, 310.7 yards a game. I believe before the game they were around 70 yards per game on the ground. Now almost 196.9 and 20.3 points per game. Still pretty good, but not where they were. So I got another one for you, Matt. A little closer to home. Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts starting for the Eagles moving forward. Wentz, of course, 12 touchdowns, 12 picks. Didn't look great in the last game. Had a couple fumbles as well. Jalen Hurts waiting in the wings. He was I believe they picked him in the 2nd round. Kind of surprised some people there because, they seem to like Wentz. But what do you think that they should do moving forward? Because that's going to be a little bit of a tough call. I think we all have seen what Wentz can do when he's great. But is it time for a change and maybe a new guard coming in for the Eagles?
Well, it's been a discussion here in Philly, Zach. I've been listening to a lot of 94 WIP over the last week.
That's a good.
And they have been hammering this. Would you rather have Wentz or Hurts start for you guys moving forward? And this is a tough one for me. I'd personally like to have Wentz moving forward. Now, I think Hurts is going to be a good player in this league possibly when Wentz leaves eventually. But they have so much money and time invested into Carson Wentz because he signed that extension, and he's shown you this year, Zach, that he could be clutch in the 4th quarter and will his team back. Now, that game –
it was clutch against the Giants. I mean –
clutch against the Giants.
We blow leads all the time.
Yeah, they blow leads, but then he brought them back against the Ravens when they were losing big in that game, had a 2-point conversion. And they didn't have a good play call at all. They tried a zone read. It didn't work out at all. Matthew Judon ate it all up, and he defended it beautifully for the Ravens. But Carson Wentz, I think, is going to be the quarterback for this team moving forward because Doug Peterson has taken so much criticism this year about, should you put Hurts in? It's time to put Hurts in. And I think he deep down.
But that's Eagles fans being Eagles fans, though.
Oh, well, yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We do the same thing in New York. Or New Jersey, too. Yeah.
And so I think Wentz and Doug Peterson are trying to work things out. And they're sitting here right now saying probably we're 3-4. We haven't played our best football. We're still atop of the NFC least. We're in good position here. So why change that with Jalen Hurts now? When he's come in, he's shown you some sparks. And they're trying to get him more involved in the offense. And I really don't like the designs that they've had Jalen Hurts in.
Yeah.
I think it's too easy to defend. Okay, if he's in here, he's either going to run or throw a quick ball. He's not going to throw something down the field. It's just not going to happen. So I think Wentz is going to be the quarterback moving forward, but he's got to play better than what he did against Dallas. Zach, that was putrid from Carson Wentz. I mean, they won the game, but that's because Ben DiNucci was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Andy Dalton was playing last week. Yeah. I think the Cowboys might have won that game.
I think so, too. Andy Dalton he's not terrible.
I think they would have won that game.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz last week was awful. And if Donovan McNabb – I saw what Stephen A. Smith said this, and I totally agree. He said if Donovan McNabb was playing like Carson Wentz the last few weeks, people would want him out.
Oh, yeah. Well, they always had a love-hate with Donovan, even though he was probably one of the best quarterbacks in franchise history.
Yep.
Yeah, I never understood that. They never seemed to really take to him. I agree with you. I think I'd go with Wentz as well. Yeah, why change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now every team in the NFC East is broke, but the Eagles are the
It's
best
amazing though,
of the
Zach,
worst.
that a lot of these guys think like Wentz is like a top 2 worst quarterback in the NFL.
He's not.
I can't go there.
He's not.
He's
He's had some bad games.
He's
And
played bad, but I can't say he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I'd take him over probably 10 quarterbacks in the league right now.
yeah,
Would
he's
you
not
say
showing it
that?
this year. Everybody has a kind of a clunker of the season. I mean, remember last year with Jared Goff? Like,
Yeah.
same draft class, people are like, oh my God, like, get him out of here. The season before, he was like really, really good. And now this year, he's all right. He's a slightly above average quarterback. I think it's all going to even out for Wentz. I think he's going to end up being, when it's all said and done, known as, in this era, a guy that had that really good MVP caliber season. Maybe he has another one down the line again. But for the most part, a bit of above average quarterback if he can stay healthy, maybe even a little bit better than that. But I don't think it's time to turn to Jalen yet.
No, I don't think so either. And if there's one person to blame in that situation between Carson Wentz or Doug Peterson, in my opinion, I think it's got to be Carson Wentz because his play hasn't been good this point this season. And Doug Peterson's a good coach, and I think they're just not working well together right now. And I think most of the mistakes that Carson Wentz has made this year has been because of those mechanics, and he's unable to, and he's been missing guys. I mean, you can't, coaching has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Overthrowing guys, holding the ball too long and fumbling it, throwing interceptions on overthrows because you want to give your wide receiver a chance. And one other thing before I kick it to you for the next Would You Rather here, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of hearing after every interview from Carson Wentz, we got to be better.
Yeah.
We got to be better. I got to be better. I mean,
better.
Say something else.
Just be better.
Why do you got to be better? Can you explain why you're holding the ball too long and fumbling it? Can you explain why you're looking downfield? Did you see the interception when he was rolling right and he threw a Hail Mary, it seemed, into double coverage at the goal line?
Daniel Jones ball, yeah.
Could we answer those kind of questions instead of we got to be better every week? Because we all know you got to be better every week. Yeah. We all do. Be better. Be like you were in 2017. You got injured. I understand all that. But that was 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I'm just like, I want to see, like, I'm a big Carson Wentz fan, and I tweeted after the Giants game, that was a big-time gutsy performance in fourth quarter. I know you say the Giants blow games, and I understand that.
Especially against the Eagles.
I'm not going to take that away from Carson Wentz.
Right.
And say he played with guts. Let's answer these questions post-game more than we got to be better, because anybody with two eyes and who can see knows you got to be better.
So that's Matt really sharing his conviction on how much he really doesn't want Jalen Hurts on the Eagles, because look at how irate he was with Carson Wentz, and he still thinks that Wentz should be the quarterback moving forward for this team. But I agree. I think it is both sides of that coin. Like, you expect more out of him, but still think he's the better option. So what's our last one, though? What's our last Would You Rather? I know what it is, but it's fun to ask.
I think you're going to struggle with this one.
I think so, too.
I think you're going to struggle with it. Would you rather have Daniel Jones be your quarterback of the future? This is his second year, or another quarterback, whether it's in free agency, you bring somebody in, or in the draft?
Well, I got to look at the free agent class real quick. It looks pretty bad. I mean, Matt Schaub's on the list? That's cool. I always liked Matt. Matt Schaub is on the list. Remember him?
Yeah.
I loved Matt Schaub.
He's still in the league, right?
He's kicking. He's the backup for Matt Ryan.
Okay.
I mean, so here's my thing with Daniel Jones. It's been so up and down with him. I was at the draft party the Giants and Jets had in 2019, where they had all the fans going to MetLife. You check it out, and they play the draft on the big jumbotrons. I was there with my buddy Joe and some of his friends. And I remember on our way there, we were like, all right, Josh Allen would be great. You know, maybe we were high on Haskins at the time because he just had that great Ohio State season. We're like, Haskins seems good. An offensive lineman would be great. For the love of God, do not draft Daniel Jones. That's it.
Don't draft him at 6.
Yeah, don't draft him at 6.
Because then they have a later first-round pick.
They had 2 later first-round picks.
Yeah.
Because they traded for one.
Probably could have gotten him later.
Yeah, they probably could have gotten him. But anyway, we get there. They call Kyler Murray. They call, I believe it was the Niners pick, and then like the Raiders pick, and somebody else. And then we get to the Giants. And then they say, now with the number 6 overall pick from Duke, the Giants select Daniel Jones. Matt, I wish you could have seen my friend Joe. He's a little bit of a big guy, and he doesn't like run very fast. I had to sprint to catch up with him because he just ran out of the stadium screaming. His face was red. He was punching his car. He was furious. We were all mad, but he really embodied what Giants fans felt at the time. Then we're like, all right, we calm down. Let's give him a chance. Shows up, wins his first game against Tampa. All right, wins his next start. Cool. Then they struggle. The turnovers are there. Then he had that big win against Washington. That ended up – some people don't like that the Giants won that game because they lost out on the Chase Young sweepstakes, but, they might have picked an offensive lineman anyway. So that's neither here nor there. I don't know if you could hear. My dog wanted to join on the conversation. The turnovers are there. This year, the turnovers, again, have been a major issue. But honestly, I'm not ready to give up on him just yet because when you watch him play, he's got the talent. He's got the arm strength. He can run. He's really good when he's able to get the ball out quickly. What he has to learn how to do, and you can coach this, is read the defenses more properly. And I think with a coach that's as big of like just a film rat kind of guy like Joe Judge is, and a guy that's very disciplined and, has a plan for everything, I think that he's the guy. And Jason Garrett being a veteran and a veteran coach and a quarterback in this league himself, I think that he's in a good position right now. If they can block for him a little bit better, and if they get Saquon back next year, that Jones can be really good. Because remember, last season, he had a couple games where he threw like 5 touchdown passes.
I like Daniel Jones.
So this guy's good. Now, I love Trevor Lawrence. I'm a big Clemson guy. I think Justin Fields is going to be really great. Trey Lance, I'm not sure yet. But I think Lawrence could be generational. Right now, from what I know, though, in the same situations, I think I would right now, if I had to just pick for today, I would stick with Daniel Jones. Because, again, the free agent class is weak unless we're going to go spend all kinds of money on Dak Prescott, which isn't going to happen because
if Justin Fields is available, like you mentioned.
If Fields is available?
Because you're probably not picking one. The Jets are picking one, and they're probably going to take –
yeah, and the Giants might win a couple games. If Fields is available, no, I don't think so. I like what he brings to the table. I'm not saying that I don't think Fields will be better than Jones. I'm just not ready to give up on Jones and draw another lottery ticket when this one isn't terrible. Because, again, you can coach, like, stopping turnovers. We've seen it happen before with some guys. They learn to hang on with the ball. It's all part of maturing as a player in the NFL.
I think he's got to be better with the turnovers.
Oh, I agree. But I think when he's able to read those secondaries better, you're going to see the picks get cut down on. And I think also when he's able to make better decisions and go through his progressions quicker, you're going to see the fumbles go down as well. Because a big problem for him, like Wentz, he holds on to the ball too long. But even at the end of the last game against Tampa, we saw him throw a ball out of bounds. And Steve Levy and Brian Griese and, oh my gosh.
Louis
Riddick. I'm like, he's my favorite guy in the booth. I can't remember his name. Louis Riddick. They were all like applauding him. They're like, yes, he threw the ball out of bounds. And it matched my sentiment. I texted my friend. I was like, he threw it out of bounds. We were so excited for him. And I think that if he can keep doing that type of stuff, it'll all fall into place. He'll cut down on the sacks. He'll cut down on the picks. And then we'll start seeing the more of the Daniel Jones that, Dave Gettleman and co. have envisioned. I think that he's still the quarterback of the future. I'm not ready to give up on him just yet. And Matt, with that, right before we go on to probably everybody's favorite, our NFL picks, we just want to
we bring the hate with those picks, man.
You especially do. I love when you get real riled up about something. It's the best. It's the best. Just a little quick hit right here. It was all NFL talk, but we're gonna kind of use this as a reset point. The NBA is awaiting approval from the player representatives to start the season on December 22nd. I think this is cool. It might be a little bit of a quick turnaround for some of the teams that were deep in the playoffs, especially obviously the Lakers and the Heat. But Matt, there's been teams that haven't played since March, so I think maybe the sooner the better. And again, I have all the faith in the world that the NBA is going to take player safety seriously and be able to pull off this season even without a bubble. So I think that this is some exciting news, and I think it's going to be fun to have basketball back in December. So we get basketball back as football is starting to heat up.
Absolutely, Zach. I'm 100% with you. December 22nd would be a really cool date for the NBA to come back right before Christmas. And a lot of people think that when Christmas hits, that was when the NBA season really starts.
Yeah, exactly.
So having they're thinking about having a reduced 72 game schedule there, Zach.
Yeah.
The season will finish before the Summer Olympics in about mid-July. Mm-hmm. So they have a plan in place there. And I really, like you said, I got no problem with them, trying to start a little bit early because of the point that you really just mentioned there, Zach. There's been teams that haven't played a basketball game in a very long time.
Yeah, the Knicks, the Hawks. Yeah.
Now, do we want to really watch those teams play basketball?
Well, no. Even Spike Lee doesn't want to watch the Knicks play, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe, for the Hawks, I kind of want to see Trae Young pull up from 45 feet.
That's always a good time.
But the team isn't that good as a whole. Although, watch out for the Hawks, people. I said it last year on my show called Half Court. When we get our NBA preview, you don't want to miss that.
Ooh.
Because it's good stuff. Hey, it's going to be good stuff.
That's what we call a tease.
The Hawks disappointed me last year. I expect them to be better. But I'm really excited if they can get this thing rolling on December 22nd. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the NBA. And again, I trust them more than any other professional sports league to get this right. Them and the WNBA. All right, so let's move on to the picks. Matt, yet again, wiping the floor with me and making people some money.
We might have lost Zack.
Uh-oh. Did you lose me?
Good. No, we're good. We're good now.
I thought I lost you. All right, so we're good. All right, so Matt, I was going right through and saying that you were wiping the floor with me. Give me one. Wait. Oh, no, did I lose you? All right. Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Sorry, my internet connection was going all over the place. All right, we're good. All right. Well, I've got some editing to do. That's okay. So the timestamp's not going to match up. You're going to you caught me. I'm going to jump right out. So Matt, again, let's do a take 3 here. 8-2 overall, 4-1 last week. I mean, you're a guru at this, and we make a lot of picks each week.
Yeah,
800 winning percentage. I'm at 500, which is not terrible.
Not bad at all.
I'd break even, but you've got 800. Like, the people got to listen to you if they want to pay their mortgage.
Well, that means I'm due for a bad week. Hopefully not this week. Zach, I was a little bit upset, but at the same time not upset because Max Moneyline pick of the week did not cash in.
I was watching that game real tough because that was your Moneyline game of the week.
And they had the ball, and, part of me was like, Bill, stop them. We need to stop here. But at the same time, I'm like, we're already 1 for 1.
Well, they covered, didn't they?
Was it 3?
I had them 3.5, so I had them covering.
Okay, yeah, so they covered.
Yeah, but they didn't win it outright.
They didn't win it outright, and it was I felt bad for Cam Newton, but also not at the same time because that team seems to get every break over the last 20 years in the NFL. So I really didn't feel that bad. But yeah, Zach, 8-2, 4-1 last week, went 4-1 3 weeks ago. Had the Steelers +4, the Bengals +5.5. That was a really good pick. Bengals +5.5. They won that game.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Bit of an upset.
Yeah.
Seahawks -3. I thought that was going to be a much better game, Zach, but the Seahawks really dominated that game from start to finish. The Eagles covered the 7.5 point spread, and then I lost the Bills. That was my 4-1 league, people.
Yeah.
I'm here. Okay, we're feeling good.
Yeah,
8-2. Here's week 9.
Turn up the dials on your device right here, right now. You're gonna want to hear
Here is
these.
week 9. Max week 9 picks. We're gonna kick it off when the Ravens travel to the Colts. Ravens coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mentioned my thoughts earlier in the show that I thought the Ravens did dominate that game. Running the ball, the turnovers hurt them. Lamar stunk out the joint. It wasn't a good game for Lamar Jackson. The defense played pretty well. I like what I saw. They couldn't get the stop when it mattered. But, again, we'll see Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving. In this game, I think the Ravens bounce back against a good Colts team. That's a good defense, but here's going to be the X factor, Zach, and why I think the Ravens are going to cover this minus 2.5-point spread. Phillip Rivers is going to do something that isn't good for the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
And it's going to be an interception. I think the Ravens defense is going to force turnovers in this football game because Rivers is he likes throwing the ball wherever. It doesn't matter if guys are not open or not. He takes chances, and while that might help the Colts, it's not going to help them in this game because the Ravens have a lot of guys that can cover. Now, Marlon Humphrey got COVID. He's not playing in this game. Going to be a big loss for the Ravens, but I think they're going to chew clock. They're going to run. I think Lamar's going to have a better game. Give me the Ravens minus 2.5 on the road against the Colts. A lot of people like the Colts, a little underdog pick. Nah. The Ravens are winning this game, and it's going to be by more than minus 2.5 points. My next pick here, Zach, I was really thinking Giants on this one. The team, the Giants, but the team are at home, and they're playing good football. They're coming off a bye. They beat up the Dallas Cowboys. The line's 2.5. The Giants are playing well. They deserve a win. They haven't been able to get it. They played great against the Bucs on Monday Night Football. Thought they got hosed on that 2-point conversion play.
They did get hosed, but we're all getting over it. We've been distracted by other things in the past couple of days.
So trying to get over it. They're going to play hard. They're going to have a chance. I like the team in this game, though. I really do. I like the team. They've shown that game last week.
Well, Matt's going to have at least 3 losses now after this week.
Hey, they covered for me when they played each other 3 weeks ago.
They did.
They're at home. A lot of people are like, this Washington football team, man, they came up big against the Dallas Cowboys. That defense was electric against that sorry Cowboys team. I think they're hot right now. I saw something after that game against Dallas, Zach. I think it was McLaurin was talking to the team after the win, and it kind of inspired me that I'm kind of rooting for the football team a little bit here. Give me the football team minus 2.5 at home. Ron Rivera, I like what the Giants are doing. I like how they're playing, but they're not going to beat the team on the road. Team minus 2.5 there. Zach, here's a lock of the week. Lock. And you have it too.
Yeah.
Steelers minus 14 at the Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way
that's easy
they don't
money.
cover that game. You had your lock of the week last week when the Kansas City Chiefs played the Jets.
With the Jets, yep.
Easy lock. This is about as easy as it gets. Steelers beat the Cowboys. The line's 14. Who knows who's playing quarterback this week for the Cowboys? It ain't Ben DiNucci. I heard things about Cooper Rush.
I think it might be Rush. Didn't he start the season with the Giants?
He might have. I know he's been backing up the Cowboys for a little bit.
Yeah.
So get the Steelers minus 14. Take it. It's free money. It's free money.
If Matt's saying that it's free money.
14 against the Cowboys. I'm hot, so I feel a little bit confident, Zach.
All right.
That's why.
The picks have been good.
Moving right along here, Zach. The Bills. I bet against them last week. Not this week. Not this week. They got Seattle at home. Seattle, they're a good football team. But, hey, if the Bills want to be Super Bowl contenders, Zach, beat Seattle. Beat Seattle. If they beat Seattle this week, I can officially say this team's Super Bowl contenders. I can officially say that. I'm not there yet. They took care of business against New England. I'm happy for it. But now you got a tough task at hand when Russell Wilson comes to town. Let's see what happens here.
Matt, I think you're letting 8-2 get to your head. The Bills are not beating Seattle. Come
Hey,
on.
they're +3.
All right.
Oh man, the Orchard Park, man, I'm taking them. Bills +3. They might win this game. You might want to mess with the money line. Bills +3. Max picks of week 9. Now, here we go, Zach. Last pick. Max money line pick of the week.
All right.
Fins over Cardinals. Did you watch the Fins last week?
I picked them last week.
That was a great pick by you. I was kind of iffy on that game.
Mm-hmm.
But how about the defense?
Their defense is
I
think they're the best scoring defense in the league, or the second best. They're insane.
I mean, they made Jared Goff look terrible in the pocket, having him running around for his life, he fumbled a few times, some picks as well. I was really impressed with what I also saw from Tua. I think he played great. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he was the quarterback early on in the season. Tua came in. He picked up right where they left off. They're 4-3 people, and they're playing a good Cardinals team that, are coming off a good win. They're off a bye. I understand all that thing, but the Fins are hot. That's Max money line pick of the week. We're 1-1. Let's try to make it 2-1. Fins over Cards. Those are my picks, Zach. A little recap. Ravens -2.5. Team -2.5. Steelers -14. Bills +3. And Max money line pick of the week. Fins over Cardinals. Zach, you're 5-5. Let's make it a good week, bro.
Yeah, 500, but only 3 games back in this pick challenge so far. And you know what, Matt? With some of those crazy picks that you just sent out, I'm pretty comfortable that I'm going to make up some ground this week.
All right, let's go.
Because I go against you on a couple of them, so these are going to be direct.
Yeah, this could be a big week for you.
This could be. So let's go right off the bat. Giants, road dogs. In fact, all of my picks are road teams. I've picked only road teams this week because I'm that confident in all of them. Giants +2.5 going on the road. They're going to stomp on the team. Haskins, Allen, neither of them going to be able to do anything against this
Giants.
Giants.
Think they win this one easily?
Oh, easily. They're gonna. Oh yeah, by at least a touchdown.
You liked what you saw against Tampa.
I loved what I saw against Tampa. You had the 2 picks, but they ran the ball against the Tampa defense that was the best at stopping the run. Daniel Jones marched them right down the field at the end of the game. Again, they got hosed on that 2-point conversion. If Jones doesn't throw one of those interceptions, again, against a top defense in the NFL, Giants probably win that game and take down Tom Brady on Monday Night Football. I like the Giants +2.5. You can lock that one right in. And let's go with the other local New Jersey, New York team. Matt, I'm betting against the Jets until they give me a reason not to. Every single time.
Hey, and I think that's been your wins over the last 2 weeks. So
I picked the Chiefs. The Chiefs -19.5, Matt. And
Were
they
you
covered
worried at all?
Easily. Nope. Not for 1 second in that game. I watched the whole game. Was not concerned at all. Mahomes sleepwalked his way to 5 touchdown passes. He probably would have had another if they didn't go to Henny at the end of the game. If they were really just wanting to embarrass the Jets, he probably would have had 6 or 7. He came in. He looked like he walked into work with his lunchbox, came in, went at his desk, scored 5 touchdowns, and was able to leave early. That's how easy that was. This Jets team is terrible. The Patriots have lost 4 in a row. They get it right against the Jets. They can run the ball really well. They'll control time of possession really well. And all the defense has to do is be average in order to stop the Jets. I like the Patriots -7 at MetLife Stadium. Now, Matt, this one's a direct opposite of what you picked. Matt, this line confused the heck out of me. I have no idea how the Bills were only 3-point dogs at home. The Seattle team is way better than the Bills. The Bills have not played very good football this season, Matt. They really haven't all season long. They've been a little bit of a nightmare. Josh Allen, after throwing 12 touchdowns and 1 interception in his first 4 games, completing 70% of his passes. Now 4 touchdowns, 4 picks in the last 4 games.
He has been pedestrian in his last few games. I do agree with that.
Yeah,
People were talking about him being an MVP candidate. He's really slowed up.
Right, yeah, they beat the Jets, they beat the Patriots. Those teams have a combined 2-13 record. I was high on them at the beginning of the season, and after that Tennessee game, it all started to go downhill. They have to wake up. And even though they're playing against the Seattle defense that just kind of lets you score or just kind of lets you throw the ball for as many yards as you want, Josh Allen is not going to outduel Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson can beat a good defense the same way that Allen can beat a bad defense. It might be a little close in the beginning, but I think
it could be a shootout because the Seattle defense is bad.
It could be a shootout, but I like their ability to hold on to the football for a little while against the Bills. I think they'll be able to do it. So it might be a shootout at the beginning, but we're going to see one turnover by a Josh Allen fumble or Josh Allen interception. That's going to turn the tides because Russell Wilson typically plays mistake-free football. So I have Seattle -3 on the road against the Bills. Next one, underdog pick. Matt,
I like this pick.
Thank you. My second team in the NFC for pretty much forever has been the New Orleans Saints. I like me some Drew Brees. I know he's slowing down a little this year. +5 at the Bucks. Matt, the Bucks only beat the Giants by 2 points. The Giants are 1-7. All right.
They're also a bad Bears team too.
Yeah, and the bad Bears can't score any points to save their life.
The Bears are terrible.
Right. So we don't know what kind of Tampa Bay team's going to show up. They're either going to be dominant and beat a team like Green Bay, or they're going to lay an egg, almost lose to the Giants, lose to the Bears. I think the Saints know them well. The Saints beat them in the first game of the season this year. What I like the best, what I always look for when I'm picking against Tom Brady is how good is the pass rush of the team that he's playing. The Saints, 19 sacks on the season. That's a little bit below the elite teams, but again, they got some really good guys up there in the front seven. I like Lattimore as a corner over there to try to shut down Mike Evans. They're going to go at it all game long. I really think that the Saints have a good chance to win this game, at the very least cover. All the Saints really got to do is get close because Will Lutz is one heck of a kicker. And, again, if you can get Brady, who's going to be on short rest 6 games, he's a little older. He's 43 now. Breeze is older too. But if you get him running, again, he holds on to the ball. He can't be mobile, so they know that they can play their guys in a little more and protect outside a little bit easier. I think that they got it, and they can figure it out, and the Saints are going to pull it out against the Bucs.
I like the Saints in that game too. I think I think the Saints could win that game. They beat them earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
And I think the Saints are tough.
Yeah, they're a tough team. And, they're good offensively and defensively. As long as Breeze can play his game, turn back the clock a little bit, I think they'll be fine. Then finally, we both had this. Steelers against the Cowboys. Ben DiNucci, Cooper Rush. It doesn't matter, Matt. This Cowboys defense is so egregiously bad that they actually have a worse point differential than the Giants do on the season, and the Giants are 1-7. You can do whatever you want against Dallas's defense, it seems like. They might as well not be there.
You can even turn it over 4 times and still win.
You can turn it over 4 times. And that's a testament to how bad their offense is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they have no answer at quarterback. That's going to be trouble. Mike McCarthy, I think, has lost this team, which surprised me because I liked him as a coach, and I was worried.
Sure, so did I.
Yeah, but he's lost this team. They don't have their quarterback going into this game, and the defense is awful. Pittsburgh looks great on both ends of the ball. All they have to do to game plan is stack the box, shut down Zeke, and it's going to be smooth sailing for them. I know it's -14 on the road. I think Pittsburgh's got that easily, and they stay undefeated. So recap, I got the Giants +2.5, Patriots -7, Seattle -3, Saints +5, and the Steelers -14 as I look to make up 3 games of ground on you, Matt. So it's going to be a fun week of watching the NFL. This is my Survivor League. Like, I watch the NFL all the time anyway, but really keeps me extra locked in. I look more on your picks, though, to see if they work out than mine.
I was wondering. I was like, I think Zack might have had a good week last week. When I'm watching these games, I'm like, and then like I saw today he won 3-2. I'm like, all right. Like I thought, I honestly, like when I first saw it, I'm like, did he go 5-0 last week? Like, I
lost the Bills because they didn't cover.
Well, I'll tell you what. You had the Chargers on here. What a disgrace!
I know. Oh,
that game was.
I was almost certain they were going to win that game.
What in the heck was that effort in the second half?
It wasn't an effort. That was the thing. I thought for sure. Again, for sure.
All right.
More editing has to be done. Yeah, my internet is terrible, Matt. All right. Maybe we'll have to wrap it up. But again, that's what the Chargers couldn't do. They couldn't wrap it up. But we will be able to wrap it up. Yeah, that was bad. I was watching that game. I was like, are you kidding me? And I still have faith in this team, though, because they have the second best. I think they have like the second best offense in the league. Justin Herbert's been out of his mind.
He looks awesome.
And they're playing Oakland. I was thinking about picking that game. I might do that for my Survivor League. I might pick the Chargers there, although it's really hard to think about that team winning when, again, they're a team that blows leads. You never want to bank on that. But, again, Giants, Pats, Seattle, Saints, Steelers, lock them up, lock them in. Matt had what'd you have? You had the Ravens.
Ravens team, Steelers, Bills, and Fins over Cardinals.
I love Fins over Cards. That's going to be great. I think you got that one right. Yeah, well, that's it. The all NFL episode here today. Had a lot of fun. Matt, we just keep building. This is a great time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is a lot of fun to do every Wednesday, and comes out on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday at noon is our drop date, guys. Again, appreciate you guys listening, man. It means a lot. On YouTube, Spotify. I think we're on Google Podcasts now, so we have a lot of different platforms where you can check us out. I might be making a Twitter for the Zack and Mac.
Ooh.
Hey, and also email your questions. If you got any cues, shoot us an email, maczack217@yahoo.com. Shoot us an email. Maybe we'll have them out here as a segment, so maybe some email questions, whatever it may be. But, again, appreciate you guys listening, and have a great NFL Sunday. And, we'll be back at it next Wednesday.
For sure. Stay safe out there. Take it easy, Matt. See you next week, and see you all next week. Stay frosty.